Hello everybody, Levi Clay here, and in today's lesson I am going to be walking you through a very musical triad exercise on the guitar which will allow you to test your ability to visualize chord changes through different tonalities. It's going to be a nice little picking challenge for you as well. Of course, I believe that triads are the foundations of Western harmony, and they are something that we should have at a completely bulletproof level. And this particular lesson is taken from level 4 of my Triad Mastery course over at guidedpracticeroutines.com. In fact, this is one of our workouts of the day. So if you want to delve deeper into Triad Mastery with me, well, let's run the ad. This video is brought to you by guidedpracticeroutines.com, the place to access my full library of lessons, courses, transcriptions, and guided practice routines. With my unique teach then practice format, we practice together and progress faster. Check it out at the link in the description. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's jump on over to the guitar and I will walk you through what we are going to be doing today. So the first thing to understand when it comes to application of triads on the guitar, or application of anything on the guitar, is that we are playing in relation to the harmony. We are playing the sound of the chords. So it's important that you know the chords. You don't want to just be working through this exercise and using it as a memorization task of being able to, can I remember a long stream of tab? That's not hugely beneficial to you. But remembering the sound of a chord progression, understanding how to outline that chord progression, very, very nice. So the chord progression that we're working on here, I would call a 1 dominant, 4 minor. And if we apply that logic to the key of C, the 1 chord in the key of C is going to be a C major. Our 1 chord but dominant is going to be a C7. 4 chord is going to be F. 4 chord minor will be F minor. Back to our 1 chord. And when you have that knowledge down, you should be able to apply that in different places. So I might play C major, C7, F major, F minor. We could do this in lots of different ways. That's what I would call level 1 triad knowledge in the Triad Mastery course. That's how we break down level 1. Levels 2 and 3 would be breaking things down into smaller closed voiced triads. And that's really where we're dealing in things here. We are understanding the sound of not a large chord, but being able to break that down into a smaller triad voicing. So this is the 3rd, the 5th, and the root. Now I could do that in lots of different places, different string sets. That's like real knowledge of your triad. And being able to do that, for example, between C and F, I might play C and then F, F minor, I play C. I'm deliberately not playing the C7 at this point. F, F minor. That's us really being able to understand and see our harmony. But the level 4 of Triad Mastery involves what I call triad mutation exercises. Now, a triad mutation would be where we take any one of our 3-note voicings, like a C like this, and know that if I change, for example, the 5th, make it the 6th, then this would be a C6 chord. Or if I played this would be a C sus2 chord. This would be a C sus4. We can mutate our triads to create new chords, even though we're basing ourselves or rooting ourselves in harmony of triads. Or the harmony of triads makes a little bit more sense. So in this particular instance, we have to play a C major, which is a triad, a C7, which isn't a triad, it's a 7th chord, F major, which is a triad, F minor, which is a triad. So level 2 triad knowledge is going to get us through all of the triads that are major and minor triads. But when it comes to the dominant chord, we have options. And here's where the triad mutation is really fun. So when it comes to playing a dominant 7 chord, the way I break this down for students is I say, when thinking of triad harmony, there's 2 ways we can achieve a dominant 7 chord. One would be to take the root note and lower it to the flat 7. And that works anywhere. So if I play a C here, I can take the root note and lower it to the flat 7. That gives me a dominant 7 voicing because I now have the 3rd, the 5th, and the flat 7. Yeah, I don't have the root note. Okay, is that a problem? No, because the bass player is playing that. Or doesn't matter the voicing. If I played this, this is going to be my C7 voicing, and it's, like I said, it comes from my triad forms. So lowered roots would be a way that we could describe those. And we can apply that to our chord progression. So if I take my C major triads, we'll do these all on a D, G, and B string. So 14, 12, 13. We'll have 10, 9, 8, 5, 5, 5, and 2, 0, 1. Now if I take that top voicing, C, how do I make this a C7? Drop that root note. And then we have to ask ourselves, so C major, C7, how do we make this F? Well, we're moving down our melody. We want our melody to continue going down. So I want to play this, the F that I would play if I were moving down the neck. And that would be my A-shape voicing. So C, C7, F, F minor. Same principle, that's kind of a triad mutation. We're taking a major triad and then lowering the 3rd to the flat 3rd. But these are just covered in level 2 of Triad Mastery. So C major, C7, F, F minor. Now with our hand here, we can play C major again in what I would call my E shape. Again, lower the root note to the flat 7, F major, C shape, lower the 3rd, and then guess what? We have that beautiful resolution back to C major. I can lower my root, then we go into F, F minor. Now we don't need the bass notes in here because we're assuming, and I have a backing track in the workout at the end of the video, we're assuming that there is a bass player playing with us or a keyboard player or something. But to be honest, even if I don't have it, you'll still hear the harmony. It's a really nice musical chord progression that outlines that. Totally gets us there. So those would be applications of the lowered root concept. But the beauty of the dominant 7 chord is that actually you can find it one of 2 ways. One is lowering the root note, but the other way would be to take the 5th of the chord and raise the 5th. If you take that 5th up a minor 3rd, you'll end up on the flat 7. So now we have 1, 3, and flat 7. Again, still a dominant 7 voicing. It doesn't need the 5th. We don't need the 5th in a chord. The 5th really just pads out the sound of the chord, but it doesn't really contribute to the overall chord quality, would be the way I would describe it. And this is going to apply everywhere. So if I take this C, the 5th is on the bottom, so I can move it up a minor 3rd and we get this voicing. That's a beautiful voicing. It's a C7 sound. Same here. The 5th is on the open G string. Again, lovely voicing for a C7. And I think the thing that's really beneficial with all of these is learning how they resolve. So this C7 wants to go. This C7 wants to go. This C7, where are we? Here. Wants to go. So we have 2 ways of taking any triad, major triad, and we can lower the root or raise the 5th. Raised 5th can be a little bit of a confusing terminology, because we could think of raised fifth as being like an augmented chord, a dominant 7 with a sharp 5. But there's a reason I say sharp 5 or augmented. I wouldn't say C7 raised fifth, because that doesn't, I mean, I would, because I'm describing my application of the triad mutation. But if I was looking for a C7 sharp 5, I wouldn't say C7 raised fifth. So, and the raised fifth aspect of the way I'm describing things here is a categorization. I wouldn't put it on a chord chart. So this is C7 with a raised fifth, and this is C7 with a lowered root. C7 with a raised fifth, C7 with a lowered root, C7 with a raised fifth, and I have to jump up here, C7 with a lowered root. Now the beauty of the exercise that I previously showed you is we can do the same thing. We can raise that fifth and move the chord progression up. So if I started down here, I could play C like this. Then I could raise that fifth. Then move to F, to F minor. Then move up, C, raised fifth, F, F minor, C, raised fifth, F, F minor. And then we're back where we started, C. Now the beauty of this entire chord sequence, or this exercise, is that we can lower the root all the way down the neck, raise the fifth all the way up the neck, and repeat. So I could play C, lowered root, F, F minor, C, lowered root, F, F minor, C, lowered root, F, F minor. Now we change, C, raised fifth, F, F minor, C, raised fifth, F, F minor, C, raised fifth, F, F minor, and then we're back where we started. C, lowered root, F, F minor, C, and then lowered root. Now I start raising my fifths. So it's a really fun, and as I say, musical exercise for me that I quite enjoy practicing. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to play through an entire workout for you where we're just going to apply that one exercise, but I'm going to put a twist on it. So after we've played that, descending and ascending 4 times, we're then going to change key. And the reason we do this is to mix up our visualization skills. Now, sometimes I'll write exercises on guidedpracticeroutines.com where we'll go through all 12 keys. Sometimes I'll write exercises where we'll go through 4 keys, but in this particular instance, we're just going to go through 3 different keys. We're going to move up in major thirds. So we're going to start in the key of C, play that exercise, then we're going to move to the key of E. And here's where the challenge comes in. Can we play, or can we think, 1 dominant, 4 minor, E, E7, A minor? And wherever our hand is, can I see that? E, E7, A minor, E, E7, A minor, E, E7, A minor, back to E. And once we've done that in E, we're going to move to the key of G sharp. So in G sharp, we're going to have G sharp, G sharp 7, C sharp major, C sharp minor. And again, if I have my hand up here, I might play a G sharp like this. So I'll play G sharp major, G sharp minor, and then we're going to have to move to C sharp major, C sharp minor, G sharp major, sorry, G sharp, yeah. G sharp, G sharp 7, C sharp major, C sharp minor, G sharp major. Keep wanting to go to G flat major. Shouldn't talk while I'm doing that. Then we're going to C sharp major, which we play like this. Yeah, there we go. And it's interesting because if I were to, and I will get to see this when I'm editing the video, the key of G sharp or A flat major, not a key that I'm playing in often. If I think of A flat, it might be a little bit smoother. It would be smoother on the keyboard. I don't like thinking of this as being G sharp. Like A flat makes more sense when you're playing on the keyboard, but I'm thinking to myself, C, moving up a third, the third of C is E. I'm in the key of E, I'm moving up a third, the third of E is G sharp. That's the logic behind that. So the idea would be we play this exercise in C, and we can play C major, C7, F, F minor, but then we play it all again in E. And then once we've done it in E, we'll play it in G sharp. And once you've done it all in G sharp, you'll find yourself back at C major. So it's hopefully a really challenging exercise for you, and a kind of taster of what we're all about on guided practice routines. You know, for me, practice is a thing that you do to show yourself that you know the things that you've learned. Practice isn't where you learn things. So if you're learning this now, you're not ready to practice it. You have to learn it, and then we practice it. And I come up with exercises like this all the time for my students, not as necessarily things to teach them new things, but as ways of keeping you on your toes. So making sure that I present you with a thing and you don't have to learn it. You just go, yeah, okay, I understand this. Let me practice it. And that's a very different thing from learning. And the whole concept behind, guided practice routines is getting you to that stage with everything that you're working on, getting you to the stage where you don't think about the things, you just do the things. This, like I say, is level 4 of Triad Mastery, but that's many hours into the course of Triad Mastery. And of course, many weeks of practice routines in order to get you to a stage where you wouldn't necessarily stress when doing a thing like this. If you're doing this now and you're like, oh, this seems really, really hard, well, that makes sense. You've not gone through all of the work to get to the level where this would be something that you wouldn't necessarily stress about. But of course, that's what we're all about at Guided Practice Routines, where we practice together in order to progress faster. Anyway, enough about me, enough about my website, link in the description. I'm going to play that full routine for you now. Here we go.